keep bringing friends on for these horrible, horrible podcasts. Last time we talked about the Owl House. Today we're going to talk about personal trauma.
Yay, the best thing.
It's the great trauma, Charlie Brown.
Now we don't have time to unpack all of that. Wait, yes we do. That's what this is about.
Let's unpack all of that. Oh, God. I think this is the first time we've had KP on a podcast.
Oh,
Yeah,
welcome
hi.
to the welcome to the Squadcast, KP.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to the squad.
Welcome to the squad. Yeah, I've been indicted.
Indicted? What, is this a criminal charge? Ah, you're friends with me. That's a crime.
Ah, Lord.
It may as well be for the first person we're talking about.
Okay. Do I need to do an intro about like who I am and like stuff?
No, most of my viewers are probably gonna know who you are. The only people who actually like watch the Squadcast are the people who are like really into everything. So like,
Thanks.
what?
Thanks to you two of you guys.
Yeah, look, honestly, it's my least popular. It's my least popular thing. It's the least common thing, but it's like, look, they saw you on In a Minute. They saw you on Glass of Water. Yeah, you probably should introduce yourself.
Okay, I'll just do it again just in case. So hi, I love Impossible a lot. It's a bad username. I've heard all the jokes. So I'm a cartoon reviewer analyst person. I used to do the same thing for ponies, but then the show ended, and now I'm kind of doing my own thing. And tell your friends about me because my analytics are shit because people are like, this isn't horse. I'm gonna go away now. So every time I'm on a collab with someone like another person's channel and they remember I exist, I always get like 5 comments that like, oh my God, I didn't know she made content anymore. Or, oh my God, she's still alive. And I'm just like, thanks guys, love you too. So
I imagine the first person on our list to talk to today is probably one of the people going, she's still alive? So I was talking to Mikaila the other day, and we were both talking about the mutual abuse we've suffered from our respective exes, and then the abuse I've suffered from other people, and then we remembered that KP suffered abuse from other people as well. And so I had the brilliant idea, hey, what if we just did a podcast where all we do is shit talk our abusers?
Lily's got that smooth brain thinking.
Smooth brain. Wow. Jesus Christ.
she's a smooth criminal.
I can't-
Sorry.
I can't believe I'm marrying this fucking woman.
Yes, you are.
What have I done? I made a horrible mistake. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. You weren't the horrible mistake. The last engagement was a horrible mistake.
Everything's fine.
This is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
I have multiple KP versions of the "This is fine" meme that I use like for personal reasons, so it's great.
That is very appropriate.
So I'll do. I've been allotted to go first. And also I'll plug my own podcast real quick. So we also have my own podcast called Animation Communication, which Mikaila has been on before.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, and that one did really well because Mikaila put it everywhere, which I appreciate. So if you like podcasts, all 2 of you, then there we go. Oh, I'll give you a hint. I'll tell you my next guess, even though this will probably be up like when that episode is already up. But like I was talking to ladies, and I was just like, oh, we had to. So the guest didn't confirm, and so he was just like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know, you never confirmed. And then I got an email tonight, and he's like, can we do it tomorrow? And I'm like, sure. So, his name is Giancarlo Volpe. He, basically directed half of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm pretty excited. So anyway, he seems pretty nice from the email, correlation so far. But anyway, that's not about that. Whatever. So I do YouTube stuff, and I am probably one of the few people that works with a volunteer team, mostly to, make sure my creative integrity, or what the fuck ever, I can basically do what I want without having to worry about, like, how much is this going to cost? And, we don't have enough people for that. And especially in the last couple of years, I've been very frank with, like, if you're doing this, like, I'm not going to decide to pay you suddenly or whatever. That probably won't happen. So make sure you're doing this for your own reasons and not just, like, to get in my pants or something, which has happened before. It also helps using actual job listing sites versus just posting it on YouTube, because you get a larger amount of people that haven't heard of you, and so they're less likely to volunteer or want to volunteer to like get in your pants, and they're just like, oh, this sounds like something fun to do. So usually it's like most like either kids in school or people like kind of stuck in their life, like they can't move out, or they're saving money to move out, or they're kind of like figuring out their life right now, and they're just like, well, this gives me, I like cartoons, I like animation, I like editing, whatever, this gives me something to do and practice, while also being able to focus on the things I like too. So they use it for resume credits and shit like that, which is fine. We advocate to do that. So, but it's very like, it's very, it's very much up to the it's very much up to the individual what they're getting out of the experience, and I try not to dictate them, as well as advocating for your own boundaries, because like I don't know like other people's real life schedules, and I don't know like how, like within reason, as long as they're just not working consistently, and then it becomes a problem. But like I'll ask people things last minute. Sometimes I'll like quarantine, for instance, like my sleep schedule's been fucked. So I'll sleep late, and then I'll be like, I want to call you. And they're just like, KP, go to bed. It's 12 a.m. where I live. And I'm like, no. So, it's also about advocating to make sure like I'm not being a pain in the ass. So, which can happen sometimes. And that also contributes to burnout, because a lot of the majority of the stuff I ask for is not things that have to get done right that second, unless someone has some kind of emergency or something. So usually it's like, hey, there's this thing, when can you get it done? And they'll be like, oh, I can get it done like do it tomorrow or the next day. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, as long as the biggest thing is making sure there's a plan in place so it actually gets done, and just like it doesn't become like tomorrow for sure. So my first fun person that I get to talk about, this is Michael Bogsy, who probably has a hate boner right now for me saying his name. It's great. But he was one of the people that was actively made a huge like fake harassment campaign to get attention, essentially. He says, I don't know, he says things like, oh, well, I thought I was doing the right thing, but he was really encouraged by other people, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But he was encouraged by other people to think that I was bad because of things that I didn't know were happening. Because again, communication, especially when you're doing things on the internet and you can't see people physically, it's hard to know what's happening. So a lot of like people's gripes were things that happened like 5 or 6 years ago or something, like things that have been changed since then, and or things that never got brought to my attention in the first place, which, because we're more strict as far as making sure we know what people are wanting to get out of this, then those issues have dwindled. Like, for the most part, the team's been pretty consistent with a couple people changing here and there every 6 months or so, but that's really it. Like, you might have noticed, I don't have to put out ads as much anymore. It's like people like it here or something. Anyway, he got fired. What originally happened is he lied about his age on his application, and then I found out because he was bragging about how it was his birthday, and I'm just like, so originally the limit was 16, but that's been upped, obviously. So he was just like, yeah, I'm finally 16. I'm like, hey, the minimum for applying was 16. And he's like, oh, well, essentially was his answer.
He got caught coming into the team under the minimum age, and just didn't have a fucking response for that.
Essentially. And it was also like, at the time, he didn't have he had a good record, so I didn't fire him outright. He got 2 out of 3 strikes. We do a strike system, like, if it's something that, basically when you start screwing over other people by not getting your work done, then you get strikes. So we don't use them that often, but sometimes they are a necessary evil. So that, and then he was on the Equestria Games. Yeah, that was the third one. I had to think. So he's on the Equestria Games edit for a horse, and he was just like, it's almost done. And I'm like, okay, Jan. And, after a point, we got a call with him. I was just like, hey, at this point, you need to get it done by next week or else you're going to get fired. And he was like, yeah, I'll get it done. I'm like, okay. And then he didn't get it done. So this was like, and he also kind of over-exaggerated how much he actually got done, too, which is bad. So he was just like a liar from the get-go, unfortunately. So anyway, so he got fired, and he was like, he tried to leave things on a good note, and he like, oh, I understand why you did that, and like, it was my fault, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, this is your fault. Like, you know that, as long as you know that, and you're not blaming me. Actually, sorry, this is a little long story. So then he started leaking stuff, and he was editing the storyboards together, and eventually the final animation, which he was putting together as he went. And so I guess he got in his head that, you know, maybe it would be fun to leak it. So apparently his friend leaked it, and then I talked to him, and he's like, oh, sorry, he got into my Dropbox account, which I opened at school. And I'm just like, okay, you fucking dumbass. And then he leaked it himself, which I could tell at the time that it was someone who was a brony, because they were like putting it on Derpy Bureau and places you would know to put it on if you were a brony. And then we asked him about that, which seems very suspicious, and then he lied about that, and he's just like, oh, I don't know who did it. So, but what really happened is his friend egged him on, and he's just like, oh, you wouldn't do it. You should leak it yourself, and then he did. So he, like, already there's a pattern of someone who needs approval from outside sources. So maybe, like, I don't know, maybe his parents aren't giving him the attention, or maybe his daddy doesn't love him, or something.
There seems to be a running theme with almost all of the people who have tormented us over the years, in that they always have issues with their parents.
Absolutely.
You know, he wants to feel like he's important. He wants to feel like he is a valued part of a bigger piece of a project, essentially. And he's manipulative, and he'll try to pretend he's a fan and do things genuinely and, you know, shit like that, until he gets us on the thing, and then he's like, look at me, I'm hot shit. He also told me of a time, like, when he was on the team, where someone realized he was on the team because he was in the credits of a video and at school or something. And he was just like, oh, yeah, I'm really neat. And he's like, oh, cool. So, you know, whatever. And then there's also, like, when he was fired, he was just like, yeah, and I got in trouble with the police before or something like that. And I'm just like, okay, you fucking dumbass.
I've always noticed this running theme with a lot of the people who go and harass you, and that they always started out on your team and then got kicked off the team for being terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Mikaila asked because she was on the team for like a year, and she was just like, it's not that hard.
I was on the team for, how long was I on the team? A year?
I think a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah, like, I was on the team for about a year. I left on my own prerogative on the basis of, this was fun. I had a great time. I'm definitely not doing this again. Not to say that being on Team KP is bad. I'm not gonna stand for anyone taking my shit out of context. It's just, you know, it's great when you don't have other shit to worry about. But alas, I kind of had other shit to worry about near the tail end of my time on that team. I love what I've done on that project. I'm still proud about the assets I did for, what was it? Princess Bride?
Yeah, that really underperformed. Thanks, BronyCon. But yeah.
Boy. But yeah, it's not that difficult. You just have to be on the ball. And sadly, it looks like Boggs and the other idiots were not on the ball. The ball smacked them in the face, and they called a foul.
Right. Did you want to say anything, Lily, or you want me to continue?
Yeah, there always seems to be this issue, especially when you talk about Boggs like leaking projects, like just generally being desperate for approval. And when you get these people who are like really desperate for other people's approval, or conversely really, really fragile in terms of other people's disapproval, they always lash out when they realize when the reality comes crashing down on them that they're not going to get the approval that they seek, or they're about to get flooded in the disapproval that they're terrified of. So like Boggsy really like leaking projects for the sake of his own ego. And then ultimately when he got kicked off, his brain he couldn't handle the fact that, oh, I'm actually a terrible fucking person to work with.
I mean, it wasn't even that. Like, you know, like, to be fair, when he was on the team, he was just kind of irresponsible. He was just a stupid kid. So, you know, but I think it was just easier in his head to, instead of blaming himself for being kicked off, it was just like letting everyone echo in his ear that, oh, it was KP, she was the bad one. And that was easier for him and his baby little ego to take, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is really fucked up. But, like, maybe if you have that kind of attitude, maybe you shouldn't be working in, like, the film business generally. Okay, so I will continue. But if you guys want to say things, please be vocal, because I don't know when to stop. Welcome to therapy.
It's all right, hon. Welcome to group therapy.
This will be a nice conversation. I'll see you all again in therapy. Anyway, there's my SpongeBob reference. So yeah, it was like, as far as people who harass me, which is not as, thank God, not as big of a problem anymore post-Pony. It's either people who are on the team that were grumpy or wanted my attention or approval or something, or people that heard things about other things. So usually like what limited information that they had, or like some Twitter post or some shit, took it at face value and shit on me because I don't want to say jealousy, but that's a part of it. I think it's just like, oh, she's successful and she's a woman and, she doesn't do any of the work. She just like, some people don't even think I write my own scripts, which I think is funny. And at the end of the day, the reality of why I do the team stuff is so I can focus on writing as many scripts as I can and outsource stuff so we can have, my dog is awake. I'll get him out in a second. So
it's all about a convenient lie. When somebody wants to basically believe that you're lazy,
yeah,
they'll look at the fact that you have people looking over and proofreading your scripts as proof that you don't read anything at all. They'll basically take from it whatever they want to take from it.
Right. And it's also like this process would be so much more isolating if I wasn't working with a team. And it would suck, especially during like COVID, the only thing, since I've been, not fired, but like laid off. Yeah. So I've been laid off since of COVID. So I've been stuck at my parents' house for a year and it's been fantastic. I'm being sarcastic. Anyway, so a lot of my saving grace, and I think it's fair to say that a lot of other people's on the team's saving grace is the fact that they have the team and they're kind of moving forward by still working on the team. Like at least that part of their life is relatively in control and COVID proof because we were working via the internet anyway. So
this is what we call focusing on what you can control when things feel out of control.
So, but like as far as like other people who are just like, if you want attention, if you want me to notice you, if you want exposure, what the fuck ever, then like I don't want to work with you. You're just going to be a pain in the ass. Like even if you are working for free, like, I'd rather have someone who I can get along with and is relatively responsible and, I feel safe to talk to in a way that is like, oh God, are they going to leak like screenshots that I say out of context and, put it on the internet and then I'm going to be laughed at again. And that's no fun. So, like the team knows like very well that, it's not so much that we're like a serious organization and you need to not leak stuff, but it's more like if you leak shit, then it looks bad on everyone. And then that also might be other people's work that you're leaking. So he made an anonymous Twitter where he found like Skype logs from like forever ago and took them out of context, as well as like leaking like John Delancey assets from that video. And just basically anything that he could. Sean's testimony, which he didn't talk to me about before, which, I agree I didn't handle the best. But like now I know like if something happens like that again, like if someone has a family member in the hospital, I'm like, okay, just keep me posted. And that's basically our policies. Just like, let's just have a plan for communication. Obviously, we're not going to pressure you to do work, but we just need to keep updated so we can take it day by day and see if you want to ease back or see if you need to take some time off or, that kind of thing, which has worked out pretty well. Like we haven't had any family emergencies really from what I remember in general. So, and eventually this goes on for 4 or 5 months. I get PTSD. It's great. I'll get back to the lost stuff in a bit. So then Sean and Christian realized they were kind of being assholes, and Bogsy also didn't stop posting that on the account even though they told him not to. And then he did it anyway for the attention and the ego, and like people were paying attention to him, and he got high off all this power that he had, and it was gross. And so they got him in a call and he apologized to me, but it was really shitty. And then I was like, okay, give me the Twitter. So I had login information from the Twitter. So I logged in and I looked over like any DMs just to see if anyone like on the team was leaking stuff or who was leaking stuff, which thankfully was no one on the team, and like who was leaking stuff was the people I thought was leaking stuff, so, you know, that wasn't a big deal. And then he was gonna be in the video, like, outing himself, and then he didn't, and he chickened out of that. He made his own video, but then, because of the ego thing we just talked about, he deleted it within 24 hours because 4chan got a hold of it. Yay, responsibility, what's that?
So he apologized, like, on a video, but then took it down?
Yeah, he pretended to cry, you know, like a little shit. So he pretended to cry and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, this was really bad of me.
I thought I'd get sympathy for this, but it turns out I'm getting criticism. That's not how this is supposed to work.
Are we the baddies? Then, like, and then I asked for his mom's, contact information, which was, like, a lost cause, because she was like, oh, Michael already told me, and he cried, and my favorite thing is he had to stay home the next day because he was crying so much, not out of guilt, but because, like, his ego couldn't take the fact that he got, like, caught in such a black and white, like, you were a bad person thing. So that's what his mom said, and then, like, the next week he goes on, a podcast bragging about it, and I call his mom, and his mom doesn't answer me, and I'm like, okay, you're a great parent, Mrs. Boggs. Like, fuck you.
I'm gonna call my mommy on you.
I can't control my children.
Mommy, the mean lady bruised my ego.
Mommy, the mean lady is making me take responsibility, which I'm gonna evade anyway.
Oh, criminy.
So,
is there anything worse in this world than spoiled white boys?
I don't know.
The Karens who raised them.
Shit.
So that's how it was like, and keep in mind, like, even though he was young, he was still, like, working for DA Games and stuff like that. He didn't offer to pay for any of my therapy. Like, I had to get hospitalized at one point. Like, he didn't offer to pay for anything for that. He just made his bad apology video, and he left the internet. Or he deleted it. Luckily, we got a copy of it before he took it down, because he's a dumbass. But, you know, we got that, so we show it to people to because a lot of times we had to be in situations where we had to explain to conventions, like, hey, you know, I know this is a thing, but it's all fake. Here's the proof. So, like, that was one of the things we used as proof. Then about 2 years later, he tries to apologize again, and he does a really bad job. And that was what Whitney read in her video, the story of, like, Michael Boggs or, like, whatever. Okay, so he makes a really bad apology. I was like, okay, go make a video. Why don't you, like, tell people that, why don't you hold yourself accountable for this thing? Like, do you want to, like, talk to my parents? You really think you know about this? Like, you know, I don't think I say, like, pay for my therapy, but I think I imply it, like, you know, that would be, like, doing, like, making a new video, that would be a start. He basically backtracks. He's like, oh, I feel like I don't have to do that. Like, I feel like I've apologized to everyone privately already. So, like, I'm gonna decline that. And then that was it. That's the last I've heard of him since. Except, I don't know if he still is, to be fair. Like, a lot of this stuff takes a while at posts, but he was hired for VisiPop stuff, which, again, he used his manipulative, like, oh, I'm a big fan, let me do this, it will be fun, you know, I can do After Effects or stuff, whatever.
I'm surprised you managed to keep a deadline.
Something like that. So it's like, oh, it's money, so it's different. I don't know if he's still doing that, but I sent a long letter to Vizzy saying, like, watch your back, he's a piece of garbage, like, do what you want, but, like, I don't want to see anyone else get hurt, because, like, at the end of the day, he's gonna throw people on the bus, so he feels important. And he did this, I think he did the same thing with Pymations, like, you know, because I don't know if they're still friends or whatever, but, you know, I saw that his Pony OC on the Pymations banner one time, and I'm just like, okay, Michael, like, you don't have an ego, lol. I think after Whitney's video, he basically tried to diffuse more things, and he's like, oh, well, I apologize, so it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay, like, you shitter. But thanks to you, thanks for your cowardness, that's the end of the story. So anyway, don't be a piece of shit, please.
So he thinks everything's good now because he moved on. I
think that's what he wants to believe. And I think he also wants to believe that, like, there's no lasting damage. And, you know, like, when he says he apologizes to other people when he explains the story, like, he, like, he's done all that he can do, which in reality he has. I think he uses that as an implication that he's done everything he can to correct the situation, but he hadn't, and he still has not. And, I think it would have been much different if he apologized like Sean and Christian a lot earlier and was actually willing to clean up his mess, but he didn't because he was so afraid of what other people would think. Maybe, I don't know, he should probably go to his own therapy or maybe we'll do something illegal which ends up gets him in jail at some point in his life, but, not my problem. That's Karen's problem.
Oh, criminy.
My God. I think back to all that garbage. Like, actually, yeah, when people basically, you made the remark of, oh, well, everyone's moved on, he thinks everyone should move on because he moved on. It reminds me of when, I think it was, Josh was asked for his opinion on the whole Anon KP Leaks thing, and it's like, oh, why do we gotta bring this up? Everyone involved already said their mea culpas, let's just let it go. And it's like, the person whose opinion on the matter, whose opinion here matters most, has very much made it clear that they're not over it. So I don't know why you're describing making it a dead issue. It's this whole victim blaming nonsense.
And yeah, I think too, a lot of it just people don't really talk to me. I mean, not people don't talk to me, but they just kind of assume things too, without asking me. Like the reason it's hard for me is because I have lasting consequences from all this stuff, and luckily my PTSD symptoms have become more manageable over the course of, I think, since it's been 4 years or something. And I've been through every kind of therapy in the book, including EMDR and, stuff like that, which I recommend if that's something that you can do and you have bad trauma. What's that? It's basically a trauma technique that helps you rewire your brain a little bit. So you basically, it's kind of, a little bit emotional exposure where you kind of get used to living it in your mind and kind of numb it out a little bit. So that's probably a bad explanation, but you can Google it later, Mikaila, if you're curious. But it's helped me, so I recommend it. And luckily, my mom is also a therapist, so she kind of could kind of figure out what was happening. During the whole thing, I had to be in therapy 2 times a week. It was shitty.
Why can't you let this go? Everyone else has moved on. Bitch, have you seen my medical expenses?
Yeah.
Do you want to see them? I got them right here.
Yeah, Michael.
I'll let it go. I'll let it go when you pay my therapy bill.
Piece of garbage. Anyway, so I don't know. I really hope he I don't know how to fix those issues besides probably he needs his own therapy, to be honest, but at the end of the day, that's not my problem, and he's still got a long way to go. And
I think for all of us, there's that little small part of our brain that just goes that we think about our abusers and go, I really hope you grow up eventually.
Yeah.
I hope you become a healthier individual, not for your sake, but for the sake of anyone else you might interact with.
Right. And a lot of times, I'll get that spit back at me when people don't set their own boundaries for themselves and don't advocate for their own needs and boundaries. And I'm just like, dude, you never told me what was wrong. At the end of the day, you can't fix shit that you don't know is wrong. If people aren't telling you, if people aren't communicating it. I make point, not just in the team, but in my real life. If there's something wrong, let's fucking fix it. I don't want to just beat around the bush. It's a waste of everyone's time, just... If you don't think we should be friends, then if we can't fix this by talking it out or whatever, then maybe let's not try to be friends for the sake of friendship is magic or whatever. This is bullshit.
Oh boy.
So that's my story. That's one of my stories. This is going to be a long episode.
Yeah, I remember having to listen through all that Anon KP Leaks bullshit, all that slave labor nonsense, and I was looking through it, and it took 5 minutes to realize just how much of a histrionic crybaby all of these people were being. It was absolutely nuts, and it's I barely knew you at the time, and I was so fucking angry at the existence of this nonsense. That was always the thing. You didn't do anything. You didn't fucking do anything, and people just lost their goddamn minds. Because they got kicked off they got kicked off your team for for being bad at what they were doing. And they just couldn't fucking handle that. And they had to go to such extremes to paint you as this fucking cackling supervillain.
I mean, it's probably like 70% like at the time, it was probably 70% people that were just like hearing what they thought was the truth and commenting on it and like damning me because they thought like what they heard on Twitter was the absolute truth and they weren't questioning it. And which is why I'm like, I think it's a weird contrast when all these bronies are like, man, Trump sucks. I'm just like, really, Jan? Like, you enabled a lot of the same things. So there was a little bit of like pushback between people like Lily, and there were a couple others who were just, regardless of what's happening, this is disgusting. And the people who didn't want to take accountability for like just the general fandom behavior were the people who want to see it as this perfect, beautiful utopia of sunshine and rainbows. And it's not that, because it's people and it's a lot of broken people.
Quill. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And, but it's hard, it's really hard and gets me so angry when I see a lot of that, is because, like, it minimizes just like, oh, okay, so this was all, either this was okay and this was all my fault, or, these things just happen and let's not make that the thing of our fandom or whatever. And I'm just like, what do you, like, be a fucking adult, like, and acknowledge that this was a bad thing. That's all you gotta do. Like, it's not much, so...
There's a lot of people in the brony community who they're grown adults and they don't know how to act like grown adults.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think about the three guys who ran Analysis Anarchy, and they were such children. It was unbelievable. Like, fucking Christ. You remember, like, I've told this story countless times, and it still sticks out to me, was, you were on Analysis Anarchy, and I was on there too, and Josh is like, hey, we're all having an issue with KP because, like, she won't take part in writing the scripts and she seems to just want to be a voice actor. And we were all like, KP, we're not going to be your vector for attention. And I was like, stop, hold on, Josh. What happened when KP, what did KP say when you confronted her about this? Oh, well, we didn't. Okay, so why are you telling me that you guys were like, KP, we're not going to be your vector for attention? If you haven't confronted her about it, why would you tell me that that's what you said? Why are you bitching about an issue you're having with KP to me before you've even talked about it with her?
Oh, I was just going to say, and that was the underlining issue with Analysis Anarchy in general, is even when Josh eventually talked to me and then I wrote a script, and then that was all I did for a little bit. But there was never, like, there was also, like, be friends, because we have a Skype group, and, like, the thing in my back of my mind was just, like, no, because, like, I don't want to just go in a random Skype group and talk to people, because I've gotten screenshot out of context before, and, like, and especially when people are afraid to be direct and, like, create these gossip circles, and the fact that it was just, like, oh, KP just wants attention, I'm just like, it's a project where everyone has a horse OC, like, are you fucking kidding me, like...
I think probably one of the things that actually ended up getting me kicked off Analysis Anarchy was, like, he came back with that same issue, and it's like, well, we still haven't talked to her, and basically kept bitching about the fact, KP just wants attention, and I just, like, I kind of barreled over him. I said, Josh, out of everyone who works on Analysis Anarchy, KP is the most fucking popular. She's got attention in spades. The rest of you are cuddling up to her for attention. Why is she even on this project if it's very clear that none of you like her?
Yeah, and a lot of it, I mean, from my understanding, like, I never had, like, I'd never personally had, like, a hugely bad experience with Josh. It was just a lot of, like, just in general, a lot of, like, stupid mistakes from what I could tell. But, it was kind of like the mindset of, like, KP wants attention, so she has all these people to draw free fan art for and put it in the videos. It was kind of like that backhanded information that was played into, like, the subconscious of people, and so, like, everything that I did was because I was selfish and I was gross and, I just wanted to be the special little snowflake.
In truth, they were jealous.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
You don't want to say it because you're not enough of a narcissist to say it, but I will say it. They were absolutely fucking jealous. That was the thing with, like, a lot of them, is that you could tell pretty much based on the way they spoke. Because I remember, like, Toon Critic used to bitch about you a lot. And he would bitch about different people, like every other month. Every other month he had a new target, and there was always a consistent theme in that they were more popular than him. Like at one point, Toon Critic wanted to do a collab with me, and I said no. Then I became more popular than him, and he got real pissy real fast.
I have a fun side story about that, which I think you will enjoy very much, Lily, if you want me to tell it.
Ooh, yes, please.
Okay, so this was about 6 months before Toon got found out for being bad pedophile, but I could tell even before that he was manipulative, because he would try to be like, oh, KP, I'll let you be on my like panel with like 5 people if you come in and I be on the BronyCon panel. And I'm just like, and his panels were like fucking and like so fucking bad, because like he would like, instead of people like coming in like normally, we would have like the stupid fucking wrestling theme or whatever, and then people would come in from outside of the room, and so people would clap as we came in, and then Zach was always the last one, so he got the most attention. Okay, that's not the story, but that was like that's an example of his manipulative behavior, like trying to bargain so he could be on BronyCon panels, which I usually helped run. As far as the analysis. So about 6 months before, so he tried to manipulate me to do projects, and I was just like, no. And I'm just like, come on. And then he'd be like, come on, KP, this is all I really want for Christmas or something like that. And I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, you don't produce good content. It's just like you on a fucking webcam. Like, I don't care. Like, go to college, man. Like, get a real job. So sorry, I'm kind of a little catty today. But anyway.
Oh no, by all means, Squadcast is the perfect place to be catty. You have dealt with these people's bullshit for so fucking long, you have earned the right to be catty.
So, and then I found in multiple places that Toon was bitching about me and, saying like publicly, and I'm just, are you like an idiot? Like, you want to work with me, but then you'll go on these like podcasts and like bitch about me? Like, are you kidding me? So I gave him like a yellow flag or something. It was like, hey, don't do this again. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to fucking tell you this, but like, you shouldn't be bitching about someone you want to work with publicly, like in a video format. And then when I got access to the Anon KP Leaks or whatever, I found that he made like an everything wrong with the Spectre video, which fine, whatever, I don't care about. But he sent it to the Anon Leaks Twitter, hoping that they would promote it, and I was pissed.
Oh.
So I got on a call with Toon and Zach, and I said, I'm done. This is it. And he's like, and it was similar to like when he got found out for being a pedophile or whatever. And he's just like, come on, really? And I'm just like, yes. This was not cool. And he's like, well, I'll delete the video. And I'm like, the video is the problem. The way you tried to share it is the problem. And that's not cool, like, at all. Like, in any, like, are you kidding? And then Josh is just like, oh, well, KP might not want to be friends with you, Zach, but we'll still be friends and stuff like that. And, I got your back. And I'm like, okay, Josh, you do it. You do you. So he was...
Birds of a feather flock together.
So, like, no one knew he was a pedophile, but, I was hope that people could see through his bullshit a little bit and try to rein him in. But yeah, then everything happened and people were like, say something about Toon Critic. I'm like, I barely talked to Toon Critic. I cut him out like a while ago because of his behavior. Like, I don't really have anything to say, and I'm not going to make like a Toon Critic is bad video for like views or whatever. Like, it's been handled from what I could tell.
I still remember getting to do that respect the artist clap back. And it turned out he was basically sexually abusing artists. And it's just like, maybe you wouldn't be in this position if you just respected the artist. That was so fucking satisfying, and I love doing that.
It's a thing of beauty.
Speaking of disgusting right-wing pedophiles, I don't think there has ever been any people act like my whole career has been overshadowed by this. It hasn't really, but a lot of people like in the brony community and who basically flocked off to other places try to smear my name with this. And it's probably like in terms of basically, did you hear about the drama with Lily Orchard? This is probably the most notorious one, but like everyone knows that I used to be friends with Josh, and that was not a healthy friendship. Not a healthy friendship in the slightest. It didn't even start on a healthy, in a healthy way, because like I'd watched Josh's videos when I was like a teenager, and I only went on his radar because like back in 2012, I did a crappy review of Team Fortress 2, and he got mad about it and made this whole fucking response video where he got needlessly, unnecessarily angry, even fucking screaming, over a Tumblr post that was basically said Team Fortress 2 is a bad game. That's how we met. That's how we met, is basically I said Team Fortress 2 is a bad game, and he went, ah! And that resulted in basically a huge, and I mean huge, torrent of death threats. Like people telling me I deserve to die, people telling my friends deserve to be raped, one of my friends deserved to drown in her own blood. Fucking geez, I've got it here if you want to fucking see. But,
I believe you. That sounds gross.
Yikes.
It is fucking horrid.
Wait,
absolutely horrid.
What year was this in?
I want to say 2012, 2013.
Okay, so like a while ago. Okay.
Yeah, like, dead name should be forced to watch all her friends die before dying herself. One of Lily's friends should drown in her own blood. Jesus Christ. One of my friends apparently deserved to be crucified just for associating with me because I had a bad opinion about Team Fortress. Jesus Christ. It is absolute. Like, this was disgusting. Like, you read the death threats alone and you think, what the fuck? Did you eat a baby on camera or something? No. I said Team Fortress 2 was bad. It's absolutely fucking mortifying to see this kind of crap. But that basically carried on for a while. With Josh doing very little, he got performatively angry about it for a while, but then kind of like, even while the death threats were continuing to happen, he kind of like figured, oh, it's over and done with, and, I can move on now. I'm still getting a torrent of death threats over your unwarranted tantrum. So then like a couple of months later, basically he was doing a review of Over a Barrel, and he wanted a token native person to come on and say all of his worst jokes and make all of his worst criticisms. And that's when he got a hold of me, because I'm native. I'm Cherokee, and so I could be the token minority friend to dismiss accusations of racism. And like he ultimately just forced me to basically say, like, all of his worst, most off-color jokes, he basically just shunted onto me. It's ultimately it amounted to like racism, homophobia, supporting police brutality, fucking anti-Semitism.
Oh, fun. I know about that one.
There's one bit in like the Over a Barrel video where there's an exchange between me and Josh that talks about like Jewish people having a persecution complex over the Holocaust and comparing that to the elements in the video. Now, I start that conversation, but I didn't write that bit.
This was for a horse video?
Yeah, it was for a horse video.
Oh, okay.
I didn't write that bit. He just made me fucking say it. And like, people go over that. It's like, why did you say like half of this shit? I thought maybe if I went along with this person, if I got along with him, I could possibly make a torrent of death threats that he sicked on me and my friends fucking stopped. Like, people don't really appreciate how much you can coerce someone when the potential of a bunch of psychopaths saying you deserve to watch your friends be raped and killed for having a bad opinion about Team Fortress being made to stop is dangled over your head. And like, just real talk, I apologize for every single fucking thing that came out of my mouth in that video. I said it. I said that shit under duress, but like I still fucking said it. And most people don't know that I said it under duress. If anything I said under that man's thumb has ever hurt you in any way, I am so fucking sorry. That is inexcusable, and you'd be well within your right to not care about the reason why, especially years after the fact. But like the thing is, I've always been treated like absolute garbage over some of the pettiest fucking things. Like, while I was basically in the analysis community, contradicting someone, not liking a particular episode of the horse show, or just not being part of the clique. Like when I was making MLP content, I ultimately became a pariah for saying conservatism is bad and that Silver Quill is wrong about something. Like my friendship with Josh ended because he is a far right conservative who is a lot more mouthy in private than he is in public. He only like I said, he only became friends with him because he wanted a token native person for a review of a horse video. And our friendship afterward just consisted of him ranting all of his political opinions to me. Like, you know that Onion headline? Here are all of my opinions. That was our friendship.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, like, this was around the time a lot of big things came up. Like, imagine being friends with Josh and being the one friend he feels comfortable ranting politically to when Black Lives Matter started gaining prominence.
Oh
shit.
Oh god, I wanted to strangle him so badly. He blames victims of police brutality for being murdered. He complains about protesters being too loud and disruptive. He rants about how LGBTA people don't deserve to exist without having to suffer people debating their right to exist, and being a callous asshole just toward the poor and the homeless in general. He once made the argument that we shouldn't have free healthcare, because if we did, then homeless people might hurt themselves in order to basically go to the hospital and get a free bed and a free meal. And the conversation just drove to a fucking halt when I basically said, if someone is that desperate for a bed and a meal that they'll break their own arm, maybe we should just let them have the bed and the meal. I don't know what your fucking problem. So like after like 2 years of that, I'd had enough. I bit back against most of his nonsense. I basically like 2 years of being his friend and no longer having to deal with an endless torrent of violent threats. I spined up a little bit and I started biting back. You know how you'll see other people like Luna Corva or Silver Quill say, oh, well, I don't agree with Josh either, but, I can still get along with him.
What are you disagreeing with him on, though?
Yeah.
Because that's important.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy for like other straight white men to say they can tolerate that because they don't have anything to lose. I'm a Cherokee woman. I'm trans. I'm gay. I'm neurodivergent. And for a while, I was on fucking welfare. Like, people tell me it's like, oh, well, you need to be, you should have respected his opinions more. Please explain to me how I'm supposed to tolerate someone I respected and who I thought was my friend openly questioning my right to exist. How am I supposed to fucking handle that? I don't know how to make that friendship work. And I said that to Silver Quill, and I said that to pretty much a lot of people over the years who have tried to basically wag their finger at me for, not making that friendship work. How am I supposed to make that work?
No fun.
If I could just take this moment to confess to a wrongdoing of mine. When back in 2015, I believe, when I was just a casual consumer of like horse stuff and like horse analysis stuff, I was a casual viewer of Josh's. Then when he made the call out video to Lily, the woman who I kind of just bought it hook, line, and sinker and just kind of like fell off of like Lily's content until about Bismuth as usual. When I came back on it, saw that Josh was just full of shit and other videos I went back to watch, and I was like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have just bought what he said in that video, hook, line, and sinker. I'm a fucking idiot. Sweetie, sunshine, light of my life, if I have not apologized for that already, I am deeply sorry.
Wow, both you and Lizzie discovered me through Josh. The parallels are funny and also a little frightening. I'm kidding. They're not frightening.
Okie doke.
I love you. I love you, sweetheart. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of you listening have ever had your right to exist questioned. I have a lot of people of color and LGBTA people in my audience, so yes, of course you have. But the hypothetical straight white guy watching this, I don't know if you've had your right to exist questioned and debated by someone who was supposed to be your friend. Let me tell you, that is a horrible, horrible feeling to have. Like, do you have any idea how many times that man brought me to fucking tears? A lot. Even just talking about it, it's like I have this fucking compulsion to just start ranting and raving because it's so fucking enraging.
Mm-hmm. You feel better about talking about it?
I absolutely do. Look, I mean, I've been always treated like garbage for some of the pettiest fucking things in the MLP community. When I was in there, I was turned into a pariah overnight because one fucking fascist decided he didn't like me. And like after I came out as a trans woman, it was basically open fucking season. I don't know if any of you know Brawny Buck.
Nope.
I think in passing, but I don't know. I don't really watch anything.
Yeah, well, basically he started like fucking dead naming and misgendering me as a result of like some little storm in a teacup that happened regarding Anime Christie. And then when people fucking corrected him on the fact that I'm a woman and my name is Lily, he basically just linked to a Black Pigeon Speaks video about why being trans is a mental illness. So it's the meme really is true. If you're a brony in 2012, you either become a trans girl or you become a white supremacist. Nobody's ever had to deal with death threats because I said they were wrong about something. I sure as fuck have, though. Nobody's ever had to have their very identity invalidated by others because I said they were wrong, but I sure as fuck have. One woman basically spent several fucking years saying that I didn't deserve to be recognized as a woman and galvanizing others to do the same because I said her boyfriend was wrong one fucking time. That's all it took. That's all it ever fucking takes. These people who like stalk and harass me have tried for years to push lies about me, inventing friends, creating sock puppet accounts, writing shit I never actually wrote because years ago I said that harassing you, KP, to the point of PTSD was a bad thing. Or people sending rape threats like to a teenager because she criticized a gross molestation comic was a bad thing. Like that's all it's ever. Yeah, you guys remember Down with Molestia.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it's ever taken to drive some of these people to absolutely ridiculous ends. Like, you want to know how bad this shit gets? I was raped twice in the last 2.5 years, and the first time it happened, the guy who fucking did it was following a lot of these people. These people who do nothing but post endlessly about me, endlessly fucking crying over the fact that I said their favorite show or their favorite movie or their favorite YouTuber was bad. I got raped over that bullshit.
No fun. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry,
Fucking
sweetie.
Jesus.
You need a break, or are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay. Just checking.
Well, it's like whenever I talk about this shit, it's like there's always going to be people crying liar over this. And they've always cried liar. I mean, since it fucking happened. So yeah, they're so invested in this fantasy of me as a cackling supervillain that they've been crying liar the moment once the real world consequences of their stalking and their doxing and their harassment get just a little too real. Because if they accept these things as truth, they have to accept the fact they've spent years endlessly tormenting me over, like, literally fucking nothing. And I don't know how to make this clear. And that, like, this isn't just about Josh or people mad that I said fucking Crusaders of the Lost Mark was a bad episode. This goes, like, to, this goes out to, like, shitheads like Sega Sister and Sarah Z and whatnot. I've not done anything to you. Like, you don't make these fucking shows. You didn't work on them. You didn't invest in them. You don't own shares in the company that did. You just watch them and get way too fucking emotionally invested in them. And I'm the one who ends up having to pay the price for these people's inability to grow the fuck up.
I think it's about, just wanting their opinion. I mean, you know this already, but it's wanting their opinion to be validated on the internet. And, they can't really separate, like, you, the reviewer, versus you, the person, which is a problem for me too. And they can't, it's also like everyone is at the end of the day, it's just an opinion, and everyone just has a different opinion. And if you don't like someone's opinion, that's okay, but just don't be an asshole about it.
The people who parrot that mantra ultimately base it, what they ultimately want. They'll never admit it, but what they ultimately want is they don't want to be contradicted. That's all it is. They just want to be validated, and they never want to be contradicted. Mm-hmm. They never want to have to deal with the idea that they might be wrong. Among some of the pettiest fucking shit, and I've said this for a while, is that your opinions about, like, media will always end up translating into your opinions about politics. Stuff that's important. Because if you are too fucking proud and narcissistic to accept you might be wrong about a cartoon, how am I expected to believe that you're going to have a rational mind about what we all personally think is best for humanity? Mm-hmm. Because if you're this fucking stubborn about petty nonsense, you're going to be even more stubborn about the important nonsense.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
And ultimately, because like I think I'm like one of the few people who will seriously take on and criticize the works that other people call revolutionary. Because like when I talk about like it wasn't just enough for like MLP or Steven Universe or Star vs. the Force of Evil to exist. People had to act like it was this big event, like there was this big movement about it. And as a result, they got so emotionally invested. And so when I and a handful of other people come in and basically go, yeah, no, these things aren't actually all that good, they freak like the fuck out to an unbearable extent. And they get so emotionally invested in these shows, and they get emotionally invested in this idea that I'm just out to tear other creators down. And there have been ex-friends and ex-partners who have gleefully taken advantage of the fact that there's a small army of people who will believe anything they say about me if they decide they want to punish me for talking about the mistreatment I suffered at their fucking hands. Like, if I dare talk about my abuse or insinuate that someone was less than perfect to me, they will openly leverage this frothing fucking mob that has hounded me for fucking years if they want to punish me for speaking out about their abuse. And I end up in the position I was with Josh. Take the abuse without complaint or we'll sick vultures on you. Because people will believe us and act on it, while everyone who supports you will be suspiciously quiet when it happens. I mean, like, despite what a lot of people want to believe, most of the people who claim to support me, from friends to viewers, they tend to be really fucking quiet when other people are spewing lies about me. A lot of this shit gets spewed unchallenged, and there might be one or two people creating pushback, but rarely enough to be, like, to be substantial.
Yeah, that seems to be a running theme.
Yeah, I mean, you had to deal with it too. It's worth pointing out because, like, a lot of these people will play the victim and act like I'm sending harassment mobs or that I'm going to, because that's what they do. I mean, people are like, oh, Lizzie had to deal with harassment over your criticism of her. She didn't really. Occasionally she had to deal with one or two people going, hey, why are you such a bitch? And that's about it. But then she can stoke up the fucking vultures whenever she fucking likes.
Yep, I've had to go on Twitter to fucking just debunk everything. Like, I don't even speak to, like, Lizzie on Twitter because I just have her blocked. But there's this one fucking jackass who will always leap to her defense.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
Me and Ginger have to deal with that fuckhead.
Why don't you just block that fuckhead?
Because I keep forgetting, and, like, he doesn't, like, I goes quiet for a bit. And then he'll rear his head and it's like, oh, you fucking, like, why didn't you tell me this like 4 months ago when we had this conversation? I've yet to block him because I keep forgetting. And I don't even know what his fucking Twitter handle is now, so I couldn't even. But yeah, like you said, I can certainly stand to be more vocal about the pushback, and I'm going to, I promise.
I think, like, we all need to surround yourselves with friends who will violently defend you from abuse.
Truer words never been spoken.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's worth talking about now, especially since, like, me and KP have both been right in the middle of that particular brand of nonsense.
I mean, I'm fortunate enough that, like, nothing that bad has happened since, knock on wood. So the worst things that will happen post Bogsy being shit is conventions going off of hearsay or being like, oh, we don't want KP because that will be bad for PR. So they're internally enabling, like, that kind of bullshit, even though I'm like, hey, here's the proof. And they're just like, yeah, but PR. And I'm just like, like, this is the right thing or not the right thing. Or you, like, I don't, not, like, I'm not entitled. Like, I don't need to be a guest or, like, whatever. Like, I hate when people, like, throw that at me. But, like, it's more like, just do the right thing. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's not true. And you're gonna enable bad people saying bad things about everyone across the board. I hate, people are stupid.
I mean, ultimately, what made you just leave the analysis community altogether was the fact that Josh basically had a shit fit over the fact that you did a mental health video with me.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, that plus, like, the TF2 stuff was just, like, there was no outline defined. He didn't want to really talk about what the problem was. And then he didn't talk to Dr. Wolf, and, Dr. Wolf was very firm and just being like, oh, well, people want you out. And I'm like, what people? And they're just like, well, I can't say. And I'm just like, you can't, but you're enabling. Like, that's a big thing, is lack of confrontation. Like, I kept on saying to him, like, who is saying what, and can we fix it? And they're just like, well, I can't really say, and this is just how people feel. And I'm just like, what does that mean?
This isn't the fucking witness protection program. Just tell me who the fuck said what.
I think in hindsight, the best way to deal with that is to ultimately make it personal. It's like, oh, well, people want you out. Who? Well, I can't say. Oh, okay, so it's you.
Yeah, essentially. And then I stood up to myself for myself, and then that was really it. And everyone, like all my friends on that project were pretty pissed off in my defense. And, like, to be honest, I think it probably will end up dying anyway. Like, I can't. I don't.
I mean, it's been several years and it's still going, like, with no end in sight.
Yeah, so, like, whatever. And, like, the thing that, like, I find hilarious is they just thought, oh, let's just not mention it and not bring it up and just hope people don't notice to avoid bad PR. And I'm just like, okay, now you're going to treat your viewers like idiots, like, to avoid dealing with things.
I don't know why these three boys, I'm not going to say men because they are boys. I don't know why these three boys are so fucking terrified of confrontation. Like, I mean, I get why Josh is. He's a fucking neo-Nazi and it's got this huge victim complex. But like Dr. Wolf and Silverquill, what scared them so badly to make them hate confrontation so much?
Shitty parents.
I mean, Josh's parents are absolute fucking freaks of nature. Like, they drag their kids off to Kenya in order to do missionary work.
Yikes.
And then it's like Josh expects me to because Josh always has this story about how his father would be extorted for money by police in Kenya, and he always tells this story whenever issues of police brutality comes up, not because he thinks police brutality is a real issue, but as a silencing tactic against people of color. And he told me that story like 3 different times, and the third time I was just like, so I'm expected to feel sorry for your father for being extorted out of money when he chose to go to Kenya for selfish, egotistical conversion reasons.
Wah, wah.
That's what I'm that's what I'm supposed to believe. Because it's like, that's kind of the thing the Christian right does, is that they'll go to African countries to basically spread social conservatism because they can't achieve it in North America. That's why you got things like how LGBT rights just don't exist in, say, Uganda. That's because of American missionaries going there and just stirring up and indoctrinating people.
Sigh. But I guess roundabout, I was gonna say that I'm doing a video that's gonna be released next week, like around the time of the inauguration, for reasons. But it's about like things you should keep in mind if you ever want to be a YouTuber. And one of my points is just like, you shouldn't be afraid of confrontation, because like at the end of the day, you're going to be dealing with a huge amount of people, and you can't just hide in your hole if you say something wrong and just hope it goes away. That's irresponsible. So it pisses me off when people get these egos about being YouTubers, and then they're just like, oh, but like, who are really like socially awkward and socially introverted, and they can't handle when they have to deal with the tough stuff. And like, just like, then don't be a YouTuber. Like it doesn't have, it's not for everyone, but I think people are just so not hungry for the fame, but they just get blindsided by like any amount of success that they just don't think.
It's I think somebody once asked me, it's like, Lily, are you an introvert or an extrovert? And I said, you're asking me, a YouTuber, somebody who interacts with other people for a living, whether I am an introvert or an extrovert. I am so obviously an extrovert. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have noticed this for a while on the internet, is that there is a lot of people who can't interact with other human beings in a healthy way. And rather than deal with that, they glorify it. You see a lot of people who, they aren't so much socially awkward as they are socially clumsy. And because they haven't really learned their social graces, and they refuse to. And they make it part of their identity. Oh, well, I'm socially awkward. I have social anxiety. Well, I have really bad social anxiety. Oh, what are you taking to deal with that? What? Really bad social anxiety. You're obviously taking something to help handle that. No. Why not? Because it's who I am. No, it's not.
Remember to take your meds, kids.
I think I made KP choke with that one.
No, it just like it comes to my point of just like, if you're that spady, then like don't be a fucking YouTuber, like, or don't want to be, just like work on you. You don't like.
I'm really antisocial, they said publicly on social media.
Ips.
I'm not Count Olaf, Count Olaf said.
Next topic?
Okay, so, this was something I came out publicly rather recently on the Tumblr. The biggest thing is, like, so Lost was on Twitter, she had a very minimal part. I think she spell corrected that, like, fake legal threat. There was the fake legal threat, if you don't know, but This was very bad. And I knew from the beginning, I'm like, this is like, how are they going to sue me if they're not going to put their like full name on anything? Like, are you kidding me?
Cover your assets, kids. We don't want to upset those DC librarians.
Yeah. I miss Anthony. Anyway, I haven't talked to him in a while. But, so, that wasn't the problem. The problem was, so I was like, because this was all based on bullshit, like me in the middle of the bullshit was trying to like understand like what motivated people to just be so nasty to me and to justify this behavior. Like I screwed up so badly that like it enabled like this mob mentality, and like even like boys that I rejected, like in brony communities or otherwise, were using this as like, oh, well, KP's a bad person, so I dodged that bullet. I'm just like, fuck you, like.
Okay, I just want to make a personal point. Like literally everyone, fuck you. KP is an absolutely lovely person.
Yay! I'm gonna slowly. I've made this joke like privately, but like I'm slowly gonna acquire a lesbian army and take over the world. Just give it time. Anyway,
that is the most aggressive polycule ever.
Anyway, but anyway, so she was vocal. She was venomous in private, from my understanding. I never saw it, but from what I was told, she was venomous in private. But publicly, she was like, oh, I don't hate you, KP. You just made some bad mistakes or whatever. And I'm like, okay, maybe someone can give me some feedback about what the fuck is going on without like just yelling at me and screaming at me. And so I reached out to her and like I told her how bad I was doing and all this stuff. And she was on the Twitter and she neglected to tell me that she knew that, like, I always knew it was Bogsy just because of his writing style. And one time he was a fucking idiot and he posted some editing thing on the Twitter when he was supposed to put it on his private Twitter or something. And then he just deleted that tweet and put it on his other Twitter. So I knew like from the get-go it was him, but I just didn't have any proof. So that's why I never really took it seriously. It was just more like the cloud that came with it was the problem. Anyway, but she neglected to tell me that Bogsy was the one doing it. And if I had known that information, then like I feel like a lot of it could have stopped a lot earlier, frankly. And especially with how bad it was affecting me, like I realized like I could have gone like 2 extra months to kind of like recover it and just stop it. And so that decision was justified of like, oh, well, Bogsy was her friend and she wasn't going to betray her friend or what the fuck ever. And I'm just like, what? Someone's in danger and that's your excuse? He's a child? What? So, so then I found out, when I did find out she was involved, I yelled at her. And then she tried to gaslight me, and she's like, don't tell people publicly I was involved. Don't be the monster everyone thinks you are. And so that shut me up for a little while. Like, I regret it, but, I didn't want to make it worse at the time, like, when things were finally ending. And then I was still pissy, and then I tried to get more closure attempting to talk to her again. She didn't want to talk to me, so I got her girlfriend or whatever, or I don't know what they were at the time. I don't care. It's not important. So, and then that was where I got a lot of like, she was protecting her friend. Wouldn't you do this if you were a friend? And I was just like, I was suicidal. And she was just like, but a secret for a friend? And I'm like, yes! Like, are you kidding me? And the fact that I had to argue that was absolutely ridiculous. And I was mad at Silver, who's Tim or whatever, but I was mad at Tim for not also, for just kind of sitting on the sidelines during that and not calling out how toxic that was. And then I found out that call was recorded. Not that I said anything particularly bad in the call, but I was frustrated that it was recorded without anyone's knowledge, including Silver's. And if I did speak publicly, it was going to be released anonymously through FNGR, I think, or some bullshit. And they were stupid, and they were caught gossiping about me to FNGR and being really catty and really venomous and really disgusting. And I'm just like, you guys are adults. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and I couldn't, this is like suable stuff. Like, recording things without people's consent, that's suable. or liable, I guess. Defamation of character, that's liable. Like, just because you do things on the internet doesn't make them not illegal. Like, are you kidding me? But the screenshots got leaked, and then they were like, then they had to go take a break from the internet, which, whatever, cowards. And that was last I heard from them. But I don't know, like, from my it's just, these are the type of, like, and then there was an allegation that they're just bitchy to fans, and they throw their fans under the bus if they, like, get bad fan art. So that's an allegation. Not sure if that's true or not. But it's just, like, a lot of other toxic behavior that I've seen. And, it's like the same thing where they get, you get high off the attention you're getting and the validation that you're getting from being on YouTube. And that just means that you're just immune from making from any kind of bad mistakes or anything like that. And, like, at the end of the day, I just wanted this to be out there, and, them, like, people just to be warned about, like, just be careful with these guys. Like, this is what they, like, I've never recorded anyone without their consent. I've never, like, even shared screenshots, like, really out of context. So the fact that people will just kind of, I don't know, is gross. That's it. There's not really more of the story besides just me rambling about how frustrating the whole experience was.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty cut and dry. She was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, an absolute
these were two people, by the way.
Piece of shit.
These were two people, by the way. But yeah.
She was the one Silver Quill or Tim promoted recently, right?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, when basically when you posted that fucking paragraph about why Magpie was a fucking piece of shit, and then he deleted it, and then it multiplied.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, at the end of the day, like, work, like, it's not great that you work for these people, whatever, but, like, Tim was a witness in that call, and that was what I was frustrated with the most.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Silver Quill is always going to be, I say Silver Quill so other people know who we're talking about. Silver Quill is, at the end of the day, Silver Quill will be an accessory to abuse if it's more convenient for him. Because doing anything else would just be a hassle, and it would make him uncomfortable. And that's all, like ultimately, that's what these people ultimately come down to. Their comfort is the most important thing, and fuck everybody else.
I mean, like, and at the end of the day, I just said, like, as far as the thing with this thing that happened with Silver and the thing that happened with TF2, I was just like, I offered, I was just like, can we talk about this? And Tim ignored me, and then Josh was just like, oh, I feel like there's nothing else to talk about. I'm like, and, it's like, on hindsight, it was just because they were petty and bitchy, and, they wanted to kick me off shit because they were just, they were just angry at me for other stupid reasons. And
I mean, I think they were looking for an excuse to get rid of you and not look like the bad guy for a while.
Oh, that turned out great.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, there is no safer excuse to kick someone out than associating with Lily Orchard.
But, like, Silver makes a video about other people's bad content, but that's okay. Like, fine.
He did? When?
This was what we were talking about, the mag thing or whatever.
Right.
So, like, find your standard, man. Like, I don't know what to...
His standard has always basically been what he likes above anything else. Like, Silver Quill will basically crack a whole lot of jokes about a lot of people. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, Silver Quill does not like direct confrontation. He will vague post and subtweet about people as much as he fucking likes. But the moment somebody basically cracks a joke about him, because, like, he used to always go off on this track about, like, the main six clique or Twilight needing to have her ego put in check or that kind of crap. And I made a glib remark about it. in a video, and then I just cut to a shot of me just, like, sipping from a glass of water while he's glaring at me, and I'm like, don't give me that look.
Yeah, and that's...
And that was like a silly little joke. Nobody actually, like, there were no people basically like, oh man, Lily Orchard totally just owned Silver Quill. No, it was a silly little joke, but he got weirdly defensive about it. It's like, Josh was like, oh, Silver wanted me to tell you that bit was tearing others down to build yourself up and is petty. It was a silly little joke, you fucking baby.
Oh my god.
Hey, how dare you make a mildly critical remark about me in a video? Hey, why are you getting so upset about the fact that one of your friends was repeatedly questioning your right to exist? Why can't you just get over it and move on?
Like, there is that long purveying stereotype that women are inherently passive aggressive. That is bullshit because Silver Quill is now number 3 on the most passive aggressive people I know, and they're all men. Second was my old McDonald's manager. First is my father.
I met your father. He is quite a passive aggressive man.
Mm-hmm. He's not who I'm going to be talking about later, but yeah, he's...
See, the stereotype was made about women by men who were naturally projecting.
There you go.
There's a clip in The Nanny where it's basically where Maxwell and Niles get on talk about like, women and their incessant need to gossip. Niles? Oh, yes, sir. And then they start gossiping.
Oh god, we need to sit down and watch The Nanny next time you're here.
Indeed, we could watch The Nanny now, but well, probably not now. Maybe after the thing.
Oh, absolutely after the thing.
Okay, so I think we have beaten the MLP horse to death. So, McKay, you want to tell your story about Gina?
Oh, were you not going to go next, or was that later?
I'm going last.
Okay. I didn't know if you had another person. Well, this is a little tricky for me to talk about since it's the first time I'm going to be talking about it publicly, like to like any like sort of audience, and it has nothing really to do with my brief, somewhat shaky like career on the internet, because like I've more or less been able to avoid targeted harassment both as a content creator and as a trans woman, but I'm gonna have to take you ways back actually 10 years ago. Holy shit, because this started in 2010 for me. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take you back to 2010 when I didn't even realize I was trans. I was nowhere near considering transitioning.
Still in the egg.
Yeah, I still identified as a male, and I had just gotten off the heels of a bad breakup. My last girlfriend broke up with me on my brother's birthday, so that wasn't very fun. But I was trying to kind of like put myself back out there, like maybe going for like, in my mind back then I was going, I thought of it like as a rebound because I still had a lot of toxic masculinity to work through, and that's the mindset I had. And an old friend of mine invited me on a camping trip with a bunch of her friends, and one of them was Gina. And so Gina and I kind of hit it off. We fooled around a little bit throughout the night when we were camping, and sent kind of risque texts back and forth after it was all over. Then she approaches me about wanting to get together. I didn't really have any other avenues to date at the time, and I kind of felt like, and I was kind of in that mindset where kind of like being single was kind of like a mark of failure, so I agreed. And things were loosely good by my own standards at the time. She literally lived like a county away, so like driving there was an absolute hassle. Like I couldn't, it would have to be like a day. I would either have to like go back like the immediate night I came, or just like stay a few days with like her folks and everything. But I don't know when exactly it got bad, but when it got bad, it got really bad. Well, first it was like, I'm not even sure if it was like 8 months or something. She was like we were hanging out at my hanging out at my old house with my family, and she more or less just pressured me to propose. Like she was like instigating it. She was like constantly asking about it, and I was just like, okay, you know what? Fine. I proposed under duress, which I think, which for some stupid reason I didn't recognize as a red flag, but it really was. And because I got with her, we hooked up my senior year of high school. We got it in our heads that we were going to start a life together. So I think that probably that was it. It was funny because we had like this little like career day thing for senior year, and I spoke to someone who worked at Kodak because we had like because that was kind of like what I was going for in college, like audiovisual stuff. And I told him about my plans to more or less, marry my high school sweetheart, and he just flat out told me, don't do that. It doesn't end well, and I didn't listen. So yeah, I
mean, if we're being really honest, you did listen.
Well, yeah, but not right away. But yeah, like I changed my college plans to like to benefit her, because I was gonna go to college in my county, but now I have to go to college at her county. I had to stay like almost like full time at her parents' place, get roped in all the fucking like toxic bullshit there. Yeah, she didn't have a good relationship with her parents. That was just a whole fucking crock. And because I was like caught in the middle of that, and I didn't really like, and I was like kind of like just flat out being honest about stuff. I was like, honestly, I kind of think your mother is like in the right about all this, which was one of the things that really got her heated. When it gets to arguments where she would like, it was around the time we were like starting college together that things got really bad, like noticeably bad, where like it got physical. She would strike me, she would break my stuff, she would give me the silent treatment, like when we were around people, but then like just go off on me when we were alone, like about this, that, or the other. It wasn't good, but I kept trucking along with it. I kept telling her that it was like my fault. Like if she struck me and I struck back, I apologize because I thought that was my fault, that I escalated matters. There were times where I did strike first, but like that's like when she like cut me deep about something, and then I would just feel terrible about it. But like she would never apologize for striking first unless I absolutely stressed her on it. But yeah, there was emotional, physical abuse, and which I didn't realize at the time, but there was sexual abuse, because she would always be the one to like initiate sex for me. She would just like, whenever we were like alone, she would just like put the moves on. She would just like literally grab between my legs. It was like, yeah, I'm not in the mood. And then she would just like keep grabbing me. It's like, well, and I'm just using like her exact words. These are not correct. These are not my pronouns. But he was like, well, he's in the mood. I was like, ugh, just give me a sec.
Oh God.
Yeah. So she would always pressure me into sex, which was not great, and it was always over when she finished, and she always finished first. So I didn't even get to. Yeah.
Oh God. You were dating a straight guy.
Yeah, and it gets even worse because she tried to trap me with a baby.
Oh God.
Because we had one near miss. We had one near miss where protection didn't work and we had to get plan B. And I think the fact that I said that if this doesn't work, I would still be around to like take care of the kid, because she knew friends at her high school where like the dads like ditched out on them, so she thought that was like really what's the word? That was really like mature or something. Real quick though, she did have a friend who did get pregnant her senior year of high school. She was 18 at the time, but the father of the child was 13. Yeah, and she would actually press him for child support.
What?
I should point out that she.
No.
Yeah, I should point out that I probably should have mentioned this sooner. She lived in Holly, which is like in Genesee County, way out in the fucking sticks, like way out there.
God, next you're gonna. Fuck, next year to tell me she has some friend who had a kid with her brother.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. That family was not good looking.
Oof.
But yeah, looking back, like it's probably like the sexual stuff that made me the most uncomfortable. And after that first pregnancy scare, she would like make up excuses to not want to have protected sex, which, because my brain was so laden with testosterone at the time, and I was a fucking idiot, I went along with. Luckily, nothing ever happened. There was no incident. There was nothing. She didn't get her wish, and she never told me that this is what she was hoping for. But I knew for the fact that she was, because she just wanted like something to secure me, something to anchor me down to her, because there were several times where, like, in any fights we had, and like I threatened to break up with her, and she said and she threatened to kill herself. An oldie but a goodie in terms of abusive tactics, let me tell you. Oh God.
In my experience, I mean, it's cruel, but in my experience is that if you're in a situation where you basically you say you're gonna break up with someone, and their first immediate thought is basically say that if you do, they're gonna kill themselves. Like, I was in that position with one girlfriend when I was like 17, and it's like, look, I think we need to break up. If you break up with me, I'm gonna kill myself. Oh, really? Let me get you the knife. It's kind of like when you've got when you threaten to call child services on your parents, and they're like, oh, okay, let me get you the phone. Basically calling the bluff. Basically calling the bluff.
Yeah, and then like once that threat started to lose its bite, she definitely I think that's definitely when she tried to shift towards the baby trap. So yeah, there was the emotional abuse, the physical. Oh yeah, the emotional. Speaking of emotional abuse, this actually the next bit ties to my dysphoria, because she tried to get me to cut my hair like almost the entire time we were together.
She did not appreciate your lovely curly hair.
I know, I'm shocked too. Like, at first she said she loved it, but she said but then she was telling me, well, I mean, you need to get a job, and the hair's just gonna turn off employees, and this, that, and the other.
That's what my father used to tell me. Never did.
And there were times where I said and there were times where she said, to try and encourage me to cut my hair. I was like, look, I loved you as a boy, but I need to love you as a man right now. I was like, that did not sit well with me, and now I know why.
It's like when my mother used to say, oh, you need to get a proper boy's cut. And I'm just like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Oh my God.
Why is it? It's because I mean, I had my hair long as a teenager, and it was like, oh, you need to get it cut short. You need it to be shorter. Why is this such a fucking issue for you? I don't get it.
Now she freaking loves your hair now, doesn't she?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to cut my hair, apparently, because I guess because it's like I grew up, and now I have all the native features that my mother wishes her other kids had.
But yeah, there was one time I got it cut, but I had it cut to a length where I could still tie it back, because I wasn't at the didn't really keep my hair down like I do now, because I was it doesn't look good. And Lily was the one who pointed this out. It's like, do you keep your hair up all the time? Well, yeah. That's why it doesn't look good down. Well, shit, there you go. But yeah, the one time I got it cut, I was still able to tie it back, and she was furious about that. And she just fucking screamed at me the entire drive home. Oh yeah, by the way, she had a license and a car, and I didn't, which meant I was kind of dependent on her on a lot of stuff, and she leveraged that all the fucking time.
Oh my God.
It ended when I actually got my job at McDonald's about 7 years ago. And she said it was actually the discussion about my hair that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, okay, look, seriously, if you're gonna fucking break up with me because of my hair, then maybe we should just break up. And this time I kept my foot down about it. It's like, no, you're always like this. You're just so fucking needy and micromanaging. I don't love you anymore. I haven't loved you for a while, and I don't want this anymore. And she was fucking screeching at me all the time. I didn't touch my phone for 2 days after that. I was just fucking trying to focus on my job. there was one time we like talked about it, and I was able to get her to leave me alone by just like accepting mutual blame. It's like, yeah, all right. It was bad. I was bad for it too. It wasn't good for either of us. Let's just, go our separate ways. But there were times where she would just keep following me, where she would just like, she tried to pester me like on Facebook a bunch, and I just kind of like deleted. I didn't even delete my Facebook. I just flat out forgot about it. So like there was like stuff about our relationship that like I didn't go to correct, and I guess she like misinterpreted that as something. I was like, oh shit, okay, let me just find my fucking login information. God damn it, this is on another email I don't have. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, that was a hassle. But then like I was just like got rid of it. I was off Facebook, done. And then I was just like on Tumblr and stuff. I found another person I was with, who I'm not with now, but she's still fantastic. We're still friends. But she fucking came to me. She drove from her county to mine to my job, to like walked into the drive-thru where I was like positioned at right now to talk to me about my new relationship with her boyfriend, with the boyfriend she had at the time. And then it got silent for a bit. And then very recently I found out she followed me on Twitter, blocked that shit. And then I found out she commented on one of my recent videos. I fucking erased that. Like I don't know if it's a block feature on YouTube, but like I got rid of that. So hopefully she leaves me alone. And Gina, if you are watching this, fuck you.
She's mine now, bitch.
I had to fucking sit on these feelings for 7 years after we split up. Fuck you. But yeah, and if you are following me on anything, if you followed me on a Twitter, not a Twitter, fuck it, on a Tumblr URL that I wouldn't recognize immediately, please don't. Just leave me alone. I don't fucking care what you do now. I don't need to like, I'm not asking for like, not reciprocation, reprimands. I'm not asking for like a fucking like alimony or some shit. I just want you to leave me alone. I'm happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been with Lily, and I just want to forget you.
Aww.
Okay.
It feel good. It feel good to get that off your chest.
Oh, that felt so good.
It feels so good, doesn't it?
Should I leave or no? I'm kidding.
I was like worried about like being public about this, but last time I saw her her Twitter before I blocked it, it was at like the follower count was in the double digits. So I was like, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Oh God.
It was interesting, like hearing McKay talk about her abusive ex, like because I've known about Gina for a while, but like the parallels to Lizzie were actually rather frightening.
Oh, that's another thing. Lily, you've known me to apologize unnecessarily, right?
Yeah.
That's Gina's fault. Because there were times where like she was pissed at me or just like upset with me about one thing or the other, and she wouldn't tell me why, and I was just like stuck with like, she had that like toxically heteronormative mindset that the man the man in quotations, me, should just be sorry, like even if they don't know what they did wrong. And once I'm trying to think of like something else to like another dig I can make, because like I just need to ride this catharsis for just a little longer. Oh right, she was racist. She was she lived in the fucking.
Oh right, that's a pretty big thing to just forget until it's convenient, McKay.
I was thinking about like an organic way to put it in. I just like couldn't think of it, and I was just like, okay, I'll save it for the end. But yeah, like she had this completely fucking like from the sticks mindset about, oh, there's a difference between black people and the N-word people.
Oh
like,
God, it's Davis Arini. No.
Yeah, and I was actually the one that got her into Friendship is Magic. And she had this one piece of MLP fan art on a wall that she got from a con. That's another thing. But yeah, like from this con, she got this piece of fan art. It was like pre-Equestria Girls Human Main 6. And and she told me the one thing she didn't like about it was that the artist drew Twilight with too dark of skin.
Oh God.
Yeah.
God.
And
why are these people like this?
okay, one more thing I'll wrap up. Speaking of cons, one con she took me to, she always take me to cons when I didn't have any money, so it's just a dreary experience. But one time, she took me to a con where we met Vic Mignogna, professional voice actor and professional fucking creep. Anyone who knows who Vic Mignogna is knows who I'm talking about. If you don't, Google it. It's like the shit he's done is not hard to find, trust me. And it was on her prerogative, it was on her insistence that I go in for a hug with him. And I did, and it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Whew, okay.
Funimation and Rooster Teeth cut ties with Mignogna after a number of sexual harassment allegations surfaced. Mignogna has denied the allegations and unsuccessfully sued Funimation and several individuals in April 29, alleging defamation and tortious interference. You know what? I think we might have just heard one of the allegations.
Oh my god. I think that's everything.
You feel better?
Absolutely.
So yeah, as I was saying, I was like, it was actually kind of freaky to know the sheer the amount of parallels between Gina's behavior and Lizzie's behavior. And it's like, as we both started to tell our stories to each other more often, we both kind of realized, like, Jesus Christ, we have almost the same story.
We were both with those women for 3 years.
Yeah, and we were both with those women for 3 years, engaged to them, and they both coerced us into sex. Because, like, Lizzie always had this this issue a lot. I talked about this at first on Tumblr. Let me tell the story first. So I got together with Lizzie as I started to come out of the closet and started to realize, like, that I was going through I was going through gender dysphoria, figuring out who I was and whatnot. Not a good time to be in a relationship, if I'm being completely honest. But as things progressed, our sex life dried up because, you know, I don't like the parts I'm working with. Honestly, a big part of it is that it just wasn't very fucking good because Lizzie's a fucking pillow princess. But after our sex life started to dry up, she was really focused on getting it back on track. Like, it was pretty much all she fucking talked about for a while. It was basically that and The Walking Dead. And so she would keep trying to she'd keep talking about, it's like, oh, we need to get our sex life back on track. We need to get our sex life back on track. Mind you, she would never initiate sex or actually try to be seductive in any way. She would just sort of mope and sulk and grumble about it and basically guilt me into it. And on 3 different occasions, I gave in just so she would stop. That was like some of the worst experiences I've ever had in my fucking life. Like 3 different occasions, and on all 3 of them, I ended up just in tears afterward. I told that story on Tumblr, and a bunch of people basically said, Lily, you were raped. What? You were raped. Like, coercion is a form of sexual assault. You were raped by that woman. And like, oh, that's an uncomfortable realization to have. Lizzie, like, for whatever reason, Lizzie was absolutely I can only speculate on what was going on in her head, honestly. But I firmly believe that Lizzie wanted things to go badly because she had this big fucking martyr act. She had this big fantasy of herself as somebody who suffered. And she would always basically talk about being in high school and basically being the one everyone took advantage of and who suffered and stressed herself out for other people's benefit. Of course, I've talked to some of the people that she's been to high school with, and they had a very different view of Lizzie. They had a view of Lizzie as basically, like, in high school, Lizzie was that creepy kid who sat in the back corner of the fucking classroom. Barely talked to anyone, barely interacted with anyone, occasionally worked on group projects, and that was it. Like, what Lizzie believed about herself was very much not true. And so she carried that into our relationship, wherein she became, like, very, like, walled off, refused to communicate, refused to share how she was feeling, until it was well after the fact, and she could look for an excuse to basically play the martyr act. And she never responded well to me basically laying down the very real reality that, look, Lizzie, you gotta tell me these things when they fucking happen. You gotta talk to me about these things when they happen, not 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year afterward. You've got to talk to me about this stuff in the fucking moment. Miscommunication was a big issue in our relationship because it's like, I'm doing things that Lizzie doesn't like, not realizing that Lizzie doesn't like them.
Yeah.
Lizzie would set boundaries for our relationship and then go back on them like a day later, and it's just this constant back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. She could just never make up her mind about anything. She has this one story up lately of like where it's like she used to draw like NSFW drawings of the puppets. She acts like, oh, I did communicate and said I was uncomfortable with it, but she made me do it. But Lily made me do it anyway. In reality, it was, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't really want to do it. Okay. You know, I think maybe I will do it. Okay. I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want to do it. Okay. Well, you know, I think maybe I will do it. Okay. And it's just that back and forth over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it never fucking stopped. And that was the case throughout most of our relationship. My therapist gave me two options, ultimately. Basically, my therapist gave me three options. Was that she was basically abused as a child, which I know she was. And that gives her anxiety and communication problems. And basically, her mother pressured her to be the kind of person she likes to imagine herself to be. Or, and the alternative was that she was playing the martyr act. And she had gotten so used to playing the martyr act that she simply couldn't let something just be. She had to basically, if she didn't have something to play the martyr act over, she could basically she had to make something. It's like when we had Patch in, and Patch would like get really tired of arguing with people on the internet and be like, I'm out, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. And then a week later, they're back to arguing with people, only to come back and go, I'm done, this is over, this is the last time. And I don't know if you were in the server at that point, but at one point they did that, and I was just like, see you next week. They didn't like that. So it's that kind of attitude. Or she was basically manipulating and gaslighting me. Because that's really what it felt like. It really did feel like Lizzie was gaslighting me, because it's like, she can't make up her mind about anything. She keeps going back on things, and then later complains that I'm putting pressure on her. It's like, what?
It's like communication is important.
And my therapist basically said, regardless of motive, like regardless of malice, regardless of whether she was intentionally doing it, she was gaslighting you. She did gaslight you. That's what she did. And so, yeah. I think it's like by the end of that, especially with 2018 being an absolute fucking shit show, half of which was Lizzie's doing. My therapist sort of delivered a pretty like hard pill to swallow in that. Look, you got into this relationship with a toxic person as you were coming out as a woman. So you have basically lost your like everything. You've lost your entire self, is what she basically said. Everything about you has been steadily stripped away, and you're now in a position where you need to rebuild who you are. And I talked about that in a recent video, sort of like rediscovering things about me, discovering new things about me, and all that jazz. It's been a long, slow road. Having good relationships really helps. Having good friends really helps. Because, I mean, like, I met Lizzie in a time where I just had the worst friends. My friends were Josh, Brittany, Blake, Allison. Just a cavalcade of horrible people. And they're all gone now. And they've all steadily been, like, driven away. And I think part of the reason I realized why I was so unhappy with Lizzie was just because I ended up getting better friends. Because, like, Lizzie was really, toward the end, Lizzie was really jealous of Carousel. Because Carousel was being a good friend to me during a difficult time. And just, you know, it's sort of like giving me comfort and support when I really needed it. And, of course, Lizzie wasn't. Lizzie was was giving me a guilt trip and gaslighting me for, like, not getting back to normal fast enough. And so she tried to basically make that Carousel's problem. She wanted me to, like, ultimately, Lizzie wanted me to cut Carousel out of my life. And when I refused, Lizzie, like, she started accusing me of having an affair. And Lizzie's accused me of cheating several times in the past. It's always been nonsense. This was probably the worst of them, though, because, like, Lizzie would pretend to be Carousel's friend in public, and then behind her back was very bitter and angry, which ultimately came to a head after, like, in February of 2019 when I kicked her out of my life. And she sent me this drunken email wherein she called Carousel the N-word.
Yep, I remember I was in a call when that happened.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep, she called Carousel a home-wrecking.
God damn it.
This is not the fun podcast.
This is not. Welcome to the Squadcast, where we talk about all of our traumas.
This is not the podcast you're looking for.
Yeah, I think like I mean like I gave up. I mean I abstained from getting reassignment surgery because she asked me to. Because I think it's like when I think about the way she treated me, the way she acted, like getting our sex life back on track was the most important thing, and the fact that she not only like wanted me to not get reassignment surgery, but was always really hesitant to say that she was attracted to women. I really think that was about the only part of me she cared about.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, I can't be rid of mine fast enough, honestly. I couldn't even imagine being with someone who like would ask me to put that off. Like, holy shit. Like, no, I.
Yes, I feel very stupid. I'm
It's not that you're stupid, sweetie. It's just that like that had to be horrible for you.
Oh yeah, it was.
Like everything she did was horrible to you. Like, holy shit. Also, like one thing you said did kind of remind me of another thing Gina said, but I don't know if I should like. It's still your turn, so I don't know.
No, go on. I mean, I'm going last, so.
Okay, well, yeah. Backtracking a little bit towards, you know, Gina raping me. She would do this like frequently, and she would do it in public. Like, there were times where she would drive me to from school to home, which was very generous, but usually on the condition that we would fuck before she dropped me off. And because there wasn't really a place for us to do that, like between college and my home, she would just like stop off at like a park, and we would either just like do it in the car or like behind some trees and stuff like. And it was like very nerve-wracking for me, and it was because of that like it was like basically like her entire like attitude towards that to me just made sex difficult for me. I'm not even sure if it was that or the fact that I would later find out that I'm actually ace. I'm an ace trans lesbian. Which means I experience like romantic attraction, but not sexual attraction. But because I didn't know that, and I had difficulties like with sex with like every partner I've had since Gina, I couldn't escape the feeling that she broke me. That I couldn't enjoy like sex like because of her.
Well, I mean, you enjoy it with me, so.
Oh yeah, of course. Because you actually make it enjoyable, and I mean like credit like the last two girlfriends I had between Gina and you, there was still great. They were just not very active, so it didn't really help the feeling that I was broken.
I remember. Oh god, I remember when you came out as ace to me.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable telling that story on a podcast? Can I give the emotionally stripped down version?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
It's like it's like Lily, I think I'm ace, and I went, oh, okay, and she was very confused at my reaction. It's just like, not what I was expecting. Okay.
Yeah. I'll just fucking say it. Like I was terrified about saying it because I thought, I honestly don't know what I was afraid of. I thought like maybe you thought I was like lying about something, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like you were very upset about something, and I was like trying to figure out what was wrong, and you said, I think I'm ace, and I just thought, because like what was going through my head was, okay, where's the part where that's upsetting? I'm just like in the back of my head. Oh, okay. Is this just confusing for me, or am I like really stupid and not seeing an obvious? So I was just like, oh, okay. Why are you upset?
Your guess is as good as mine. Like I honestly can't wrap my head around like why I was upset, and like every time I try, I just like
All I could think about is like, okay, my girlfriend is ace, and she's upset. Therefore, that means I must cuddle her.
I did appreciate that. And you did fucking like almost immediately like lighten the mood with a pun.
What did I do? Because I can't remember what I did.
Oh god, me neither.
I made a pun. I made an ace pun, a really cute ace pun. That's what it amounts to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, you're ace. I don't understand why that makes you upset, but so I'm just gonna cuddle you and hope that makes it go away. The upset, I mean. But yeah, I've always been violently inclusive. That's such a strange term. I've always been violently inclusive of ace people. Get in the fucking LGBT community, you little shit.
Pick a lane.
Who's Elaine? Get in the fucking LGBT community right the fuck now. Yells at the exclusionist. All right, you're in timeout. Get on top of the fridge. This house is a fucking nightmare.
Oh my god.
That was a fun sound.
I love it.
I think it's like the last time I even bothered looking at Lizzie's Twitter, she said something about being demisexual, which I guess makes sense, but I don't know why she was so fucking flippant about it back then. Like, I think it's like she said a lot of things that made it clear it's like, oh, well, you know, if you had different genitals, I wouldn't be attracted to you. And it's like, okay, you're kind of fucking gross. It's like a lot of things she said, they always felt like backhanded remarks against my transition.
Sorry, I'm kind of tired.
We're all
yeah.
We're all fucked up. We're all fucked up, and like just talking about our abuse just makes us all tired.
Yeah.
So this has been our cavalcade of misery.
We're all damaged, very damaged, but that does not make us wise.
So like, what's the what's your final word, Lily? What's your advice to victims of abuse? My advice is, I'm so sorry.
It sucks. No fun.
There are people that love you. There are people that can help you. Just focus on that. They can help you work through your stuff. Try not to let it like control you, but like make sure you remember what happened so it doesn't happen again.
If your friends are shit to you, get new friends. If your partner's shit to you, get a new partner. If your family's shit to you, get a new family. You can do that.
We have the technology. Your family, like, I think this is the part, like, people have the hardest time with, because it's like, they're always told, it's like, oh, you know, you got to stick by your family. You don't. Your family can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. Your family can be your parents and your siblings and your spouse and your kids. Your family could be all of your friends who hang out, who all live in different countries. Your family could be your 3 dogs and the 1 hermit who visits you because you give him burgers. That could be your family. Your family could be whatever the fuck you want it to be. My family is my fiance, my girlfriend, and the squad of lovely friends that I have accumulated over the last few years. You're part of the fam, KP.
Welcome to the family, KP.
She collects them like Pokemon.
I collect half of my new family is just me adopting the Brody community's victims.
Sometimes a family could be 2 wives, a walking celery stick, and their cryptid baby.
Walking celery, big lesbian and her angry celery. I'm pretty sure like the person who first captioned that fan art is feeling so fucking happy that I keep referring to G as a celery stick. Get in the bag, you fucking celery stick. Oh, God. You know what's funny? I keep forgetting that, like, KP has, like, an actual name, and so sometimes I'll just refer to you as Kim.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Like, especially at cons, they get really awkward, and they're just like, should I... Like, sometimes I'm actually addressed as Kim Possible, and I'm like, okay, fine. you tried.
I love Kim Possible a lot. God, but if that bad, you must be the definition of self-love. But yeah, it's like sometimes it's like, well, Freddie is KP, and then other times it's just like Kim, and then I'm like, wait a minute, her name isn't actually Kim.
No, my favorite thing that's happened like in the last like six months or so is someone that was planning to interview, it didn't work out, but I was interviewing for the podcast, didn't know that Kim Possible was a Disney show. So they looked me up and they were just like, why is there so much Kim Possible porn? Is this you? And I'm just like, no, that's just the internet.
Oh. Oh no.
Your characters look nothing alike.
I mean, if you don't know what Kim Possible is, then you know, like you're probably too far gone that it's going to take a lot of explaining. So,
I mean, hang on a second. I can still tell the difference between that and that. Like those are two very different characters.
Oh, they still got the lip.
Yeah, but honestly, that's just good character design.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I keep forgetting that you are fucking gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
That's why you have an army of lesbians. You are just breathtaking. Like we're not even like looking to like hook up. We just think you're beautiful and we just want to hang out with you.
Please don't date me, creepy bronies. I've had my fill.
Oh, God.
KP just hangs out with lesbians now.
At least when they hit on you, it's like kind of charming versus like awkward bronies who are just like, hey, you're
Honestly,
hot.
any man hitting on anyone is just terrible. Like, I've
Yeah, men should just never flirt at all.
oh God. Like, if it was like topically appropriate, I would have talked about the guy who hit on me in New York, but like, we'll save that for another podcast. I'll think of an excuse.
Yeah, you guys got all the fun stories.
We'll have Sketchy in for that particular podcast, so he could just, because like we told him that story in a voice call, and he was just cringing so hard.
Oh my God.
It's like no.
Oh God, it reminds me like it's fun. Sorry, this is a little off topic, but it's fun when like people awkwardly hit on you at conventions. And my favorite one has been where like not kid, maybe like 18 or 19, hit on me, and his mom was there, and his mom had to be like, okay, she doesn't want your number, and I had to like push him away from my booth.
Wow.
I mean, he was on the spectrum, so it was, I got it. But,
I mean, we're on the spectrum, and okay. Look, we the two of us are admittedly gay disasters around any beautiful woman, but like not to that degree.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So like, I mean, it just I think he just didn't know, like not to do that at the con. So, but that's fine. It's like it's okay. It's fine. It's okay, Mom. I appreciate that he likes my content.
Oh goodness.
Oh, I found this, and it's like really cute. The thing right next to it in the search results is very much not, but
Oh
yeah, there's a third there's a third strip of that panel. I'll find it. It's on Tumblr somewhere.
Oh goodness.
We started with what?
I was just saying, like, we start with a heavy topic, and we just like come down from it with non sequiturs that just make us giggle.
Non sequiturs about how amazing Kim is. KP.
Yeah. I do my best.
Yeah.
Here, I'll highlight this fan artist if I can find her real quick. Can I find this easily? Vanilla Pope West. So here's the last page. She is the first person who's done like regular horse art or regular just non-horse art for me, and I'm just like, yeah, I need new fan art. Not that I don't get a lot, but it's strictly from like 2 or 3 people that just make a lot, and just like I like variety though. But I'm spoiled anyway, so like if you want to make fan art, you can. But.
I get a lot of fan art from 00 Ren, and like her fan art is so fucking
Mikaila, you need to make more fan art. No.
Well, hey,
it's like do a sequel to the serotonin thing. It's like serotonin machines having a juice box, and Bonnie's just sitting on the corner, sipping a juice box, and she goes, "I am the serotonin."
like when I first started getting fan art, I was just fucking like amazed. Like I was just like thrown aback. It's like, wait, I'm actually getting this? People are drawing me?
I got engaged to the first person who drew me fan art. Yeah, it's like we always have a bit of an overreaction to fan art at the start. It's like oh my god, this is amazing. And with like McKay, it's like, holy crap, people do this. And with me, it was holy shit, marry me. This was a mistake.
This won't turn out badly. Oh, fun.
I'm easily influenced by cute lesbian drawings. Okay. I think we have officially worn out the energy of any potential viewers. This is like almost 2.5 hours. It'll probably get cut down at least 40 minutes will be cut out, but now you all know all of that. Welcome to our heads. Bye.
Toodles.
Thanks for being the therapist today, random people on the internet.
Thanks for your unsolicited opinions, random internet.